Hello, welcome to Soulprint Intuitive Tarot for May 4th. Okay, so just a little bit, and I don't feel I need to explain myself, but I do feel like I would like to give you guys a heads up. So this house has a bunch of university students running around it, and one of my daughters is doing a spring course via computer. So there are times, I'm going to try to make it so that there isn't too much of a disruption. And it's not only for your benefit, it's also for mine, because I have kind of a rhythm about the way I do this. But don't be surprised if a video shows up a little later than normal, or even maybe a little earlier than normal, because we both sort of are functioning from the same space. And so it's her education, she gets priority. So just so you know what happened today. And may very well happen for the rest of the month of May. So there we have it. Okay, so wow, here we are at the beginning of another week. It was a weekend where Trump was supposed to be having a working weekend, but from what I can figure out, he spent most of it on Twitter, complaining and going on rants about, everything. He spent some of it moving the goalpost. Okay, so he went from this pandemic is nothing, we're going to be fine, don't even worry about it, to, maybe at worst case scenario, 50 or 60,000 deaths all told. And so now he's moved that. I think on Friday he was saying, maybe 90. Well, I gather by now he's talking 100,000. So he's moving the goalposts, and we know he does this, right? We know this, and so that's the kind of weekend that everybody went through. And you've got states who are opening things up now. And so that's going to create a little bit of a problem, I think. I mean, not only for the states themselves, and so you have people who are undereducated or misinformed, maybe is a better word, who really still don't understand that what's going on is serious and it needs to be taken seriously. But you also have people in those states, like you guys, my viewers, who have great clarity about what's going on. And it's really, really frightening that things are opening up around you and you know darn well it's not safe. So, that puts you even more at risk. So you got to do everything you can to just keep yourself as safe as possible, because clearly the government is not doing anything to contribute to your health and welfare in any kind of a positive or significantly helpful way. So let's take a look at what's happening this week in the United States. What's going on with Trump this week? So that's the question, right? I want to see what's happening with Trump. While I'm sitting here just shuffling my cards, for those of you who have not yet twigged into the Glenn Kushner YouTube channel, please check him out. For those of you who watch MSNBC, you will know Glenn Kushner. He is a former prosecuting attorney. He's very well spoken. He's horrified by what is going on in the legal department, etc. But he does these little 10 or 15 minute videos about sort of the legal angle, or what's going on viewed from a legal perspective. So he released one this morning. I haven't seen it yet, but he released one. I was watching one yesterday about whether or not Donald Trump could actually be charged with involuntary manslaughter for all of the deaths. And it was fascinating. So Glenn Kushner, it's Kirschner. Check him out, because he's got he apparently has a very large following on Twitter, but the the YouTube thing is still new and growing. So if you get a chance, check him out, because he has a lot of really important and frankly intelligent things to say. Okay, so here we go. Let's focus in on the Donald and see. I got to tell you, energetically, it's one of those buckle up kind of weeks. It really is. So let me see if the cards are going to tell me why it's so important everybody buckles up. Come on down. Okay, so one more quick shuffle. Okay, so Trump this week, Trump this week, Trump this week. Okay, so there's going to be more information coming out this week about behind the scenes stuff, okay? And whether that is his personal business dealings, whether that is incredible gross incompetency going on within his administration. But there's going to be more kind of behind the scenes stuff. And I suspect more reporting about what's going on. And that is going to agitate him. It's going to really, really, it's going to become very, very hard. Not that it isn't already, but for those people around him who try to keep him calm and try to keep him with the lid on, it's going to be almost impossible this week, because he is going to be like coming out swinging. He's going to be fighting. He's going to be ranting. He's going to be raving. You have news people now almost begging him to let Pence run the country for a little bit of time because he's not well, okay? So this kind of stuff just is going to send him through the roof, all right? He is not going to be calm or rational or much of anything. And when he does make public appearances, they're going to be grievance sessions, okay? Like, you're just going to see this guy go from one rant to another rant. And he, you know, there's something going on here internationally. So whether, you know, he's praising Kim Jong-un for being healthy, or whether he's attacking Xi for being, you know, a liar and whatever else, you know, hiding the facts, expect more attacks or conversations about international, so other leaders. I wouldn't be surprised if, you know, he just doesn't have a whole lot to say about a whole lot of stuff that frankly is none of his business, and he really should be taking care of whatever it is that's going on in his own backyard. But of course, he doesn't want to, because what's going on in his backyard, wow, it doesn't look good for him, and so he sure as heck is not going to concentrate on that. So, slowly but surely, it's incremental, okay? It's not like a big wow moment. It's not a eureka, oh God, I understand. It's just very small incremental steps. He is really starting to understand that it doesn't really matter anymore what he says, or who he, you know, has doing what, or who's spinning whatever they're spinning. He's really, really starting to understand that it is falling, for the most part, on deaf ears. His polls are going to continue to tank as he continues to become more and more erratic. You've got really, really hard energy here, right? You've got everything going backwards on him, literally. So his thoughts about re-election are starting to fragment, okay? He's starting to understand that maybe this might actually even be harder than he thought it might be. You've got him facing even more bad news and more disappointments as the week unfolds. And we know when that happens, he just goes like nuts on us, right? He's not prepared to hear anything new. He only wants to hear what he wants to hear. Apparently, the other day he was bitching and complaining that Abraham Lincoln, I think it was, got better press than him. What is the matter with this man? He's a lunatic, for God's sakes. And he's going to continue down that path, okay? Like everything that comes out of his mouth is going to become more outrageous and more erratic. There's violence sort of cropping up around your country because you've got states that are opening and that shouldn't be. You've got people protesting and complaining and creating really, really dangerous situations. I mean, honestly, not only for themselves, because they are right out there in the public being exposed to this stuff. I don't know, what is it? Is it that Republicans think that they're immune because they vote for Trump? I'm not sure what's going on there. But there really is this sense of it's going to get worse and worse. And they're not seeing it, okay? And so because they're not seeing it, again, you're going to have an uptick in violence, in protests, that kind of thing. And what's going to happen is that's going to accelerate people getting sick, okay? So not this week, not next week, but probably by, somewhere around the third week in May. All of today's behavior, last week's behavior, that's going to start manifesting into some really, really frightening numbers. Now, privately, apparently, the Trump administration is preparing for the fact that by the end of June, their casualties are likely to double. Now, of course, that's not what they're talking about, but that does explain why they keep moving the goalpost, right? Because as they get more information, they're starting to recognize that they have to start changing the narrative a little bit, because if they don't, they're going to really, really look as if they're completely out to lunch with what they're saying. And so slowly they're going to start moving that goalpost. But the problem is, of course, is there's way too much communication. There's too much on tape. There's too many records of him saying exactly the opposite. And so, there's that. The daffodils are coming up, and wow, everybody isn't well. And this thing has not miraculously gone away like a miracle. So it's just going to get worse for him. And he's not sleeping. And okay, so he's not sleeping. The White House is spinning more and more out of control, okay? Because he is becoming more and more erratic. And you're going to see, again, this week into next week, I'm feeling you're going to see a few more Republican senators really, really, really skittering back from him, like really trying to distance themselves from what he says and even what he does. Because they at least, again, they have the experience, whether you like him or hate him, they at least have the political experience to understand how bad this is. Where frankly, he doesn't, right? Because he is of the opinion that everything can be spun. And worse, he is being advised by Jared Kushner, who has the same mindset. I mean, the fool was out there sometimes last week saying that when history looks back on this, they're going to be amazed at the success story of the United States handling the pandemic. Like, honestly, I think maybe Trump might be sharing some of his chemical substances with the people around him, or certainly with Jared, because I'm telling you, they both, and they're both on the same page publicly of saying this really, really outrageous stuff. They're starting to feel the noose is tightened, and Trump, we know, does not react well to that. So you're going to see, okay, you're going to see more. I feel like I keep saying the same thing 100 times in 100 different ways. He's just going to become more erratic. He's going to become more dangerous. He's going to become more outrageous. More and more people are going to start pulling themselves away from him. You're actually going to start hearing more of a drumbeat in terms of, listen, it's time for you to step back, let Pence take over for a little bit. Now, is that going to happen? Probably not, right? Because his ego, he's so egocentric, his ego couldn't take it if he actually had to do that at this point in time, because he still thinks he can turn this around. I mean, that's what's so dangerous about him, right? He still thinks that if he spins it just right, he can actually balance things out, level them out, and put himself back on a path towards victory. And that's not happening, okay? It's just not. And this is the thing. And I want you to just be sort of mindful of this as the weeks continue to unfold, okay? Because Trump won that election in 2016, and he wasn't supposed to, right? Nothing said he was going to, except a few sort of random people or random views or polls. But he won it, okay? Much to the world's regret, not to mention your own. But because of that, he has sort of been given this aura, and this is by the people, okay? This aura of, he's like a magician, he can pull things out of a hat. He can make the impossible happen. And so the more people are saying it's not possible for him to win, the more sort of on some level, people are saying, yeah, well, you said that the last time and look what happened. And literally by even thinking that way, you're kind of setting yourself up for some grief and some anxiety, because I just don't energetically feel it happening. But what you're doing is you are feeding the notion that he is magical, that he can make amazing things happen, and they might be badly amazing, but amazing. He pulls things out of the hat. Don't fall into feeding that energy, okay? Every time there is this sense of he can do it, he somehow magically can win that election, you're feeding into it. Don't feed into it, okay? Don't look away from the facts, and don't fall into the magical or illusion thinking. The facts, the reality that's in front of you is exactly the reality that he's going to try to get reelected on. You have a tanked economy, you have through the roof unemployment, and you have people dying so quickly in your country that if not now, very soon, people are going to know someone, or know someone who knows someone, who has been taken by this horrendous, horrendous virus. That is the real, either taken, frankly, or have gotten very, very sick. And that is the real facts, okay? So don't let yourself get kind of distorted by this notion of, well, he did it once, he must have something we don't know about, he must have some magicals. He doesn't, okay? He doesn't. More and more information is going to continue to come out. And this is the thing, right? He can't handle the exposure. Look, there's the magician card. He can't handle the exposure. He doesn't have a way of coping as light continues to be shed on what he is doing and what is going on. And the numbers are wrong, okay? The numbers are wrong. And don't frankly believe the numbers. They're much, much worse than he says they are, or they say they are. And he doesn't want to hear it. And so he's going to try to camouflage it. He's going to try and spin it or twist it. But slowly, slowly, you're going to see him moving those goalposts. And the more he doesn't want to face it, and the more he doesn't want to admit it, and the more he says things are brilliant when they're not, the more he is endangering all of the people of your country and the world. So you're going to see some other stuff this week. You're going to see him in some way sort of reverting back to past glory. And you're also going to see him literally trying to rewrite what he said a month ago or 2 months ago. There's going to be a lot of, I never said that, you know, I was being sarcastic. It was somebody else's fault that I had that information. He's literally going to try to rewrite history. And it's not going to work for him. There's also going to be more information coming out about a real imbalance in terms of what state is getting what and what state is not. There's going to be more information coming out about his bias towards different states and what they should or should not get. And that also is not going to play well, okay? It's really, really not. Yeah. So, you know, you've just got a lot of, there's going to be a lot of talking. A lot of talking. Oh, that reminds me. For those of you who have not yet checked out an astrologer by the name of Maxine Taylor, she's on YouTube. She does monthly horoscopes, right? So if you're a Pisces or you're a Capricorn, you know, this is your horoscope for the month. But more importantly, she does Trumpology reports, and that's literally what they're called, every month. And it talks about, you know, what the month is going to be like for him. She is very matter of fact. She tries very, very hard to keep any bias out of it. But I've been watching her for some time now. I keep forgetting to mention her, and she is incredibly accurate from what I can figure out. Her Trumpology reports are very helpful, and she often incorporates the Trumpology astrological chart with the United States' astrological chart. So, if you have not come across her on your feed, look her up, Maxine Taylor, because you're going to, I think, get some, you know, some insights in terms of what is happening there. Okay. So, wow, look at me going. I'm Glenn Kushner and Maxine Taylor and heavens. Okay. Oh, I'll do another plug. There's a woman out there named Diane with 2 N's, Tarot. Diane's Tarot, double N. Check her out if you haven't already. I've caught 1 or 2 of her videos. As you know, I don't watch a lot of them because I don't want to be influenced. But check her out because she has some interesting things to say, and I think she has a nice sort of comforting, if you will, delivery. So there we go. Wow. Look at me go with check this out and check that out, eh? Okay. So I'm reshuffling the cards, and I just want to take a quick look sort of at the Republicans, right? How are they going to be coping this week? How are they going to, if I'm not mistaken, I think they're coming back this week. So that means that there's going to be more of them in the hallways to get interviews from. So that's going to be sort of interesting. I don't think the House is back yet because, of course, that's run by a Democrat who at least is not trying to pretend that the facts are something other than what they are. And she's not wanting to bring the 400 plus members back into a confined space. But if I am not mistaken, the Senate is coming back. So let's take a look at what that is going to look like. Come on down. Okay, so the Senate this week, the Senate this week, the Senate this week. What are the Republicans going to do? How are they going to handle this? What's going on with them? Okay. You're going to see a lot of people. They're not going to be jumping ship, but you are going to start sensing that real pulling back, that kind of distancing away from Trump. Their message is going to become a little bit more like fluid and ambiguous as they try to not get caught in really, really blatant lies and not say stuff that is incredibly self-serving, not say stuff that really is gray. Okay, so they're not talking black and white. They're not talking facts and figures. They're going to be talking about, you're going to hear a lot of, well, I wish, or I would think, or I certainly hope. Well, those aren't facts or figures, folks. Those are euphemisms for I don't know what the hell, okay? And a lot of kind of messaging, but it's not going to sit. It feels like, it feels like, because of decisions they have made in the past, they're going to start recognizing in a real significant way that they are going to be paying the price for it. And unless I am wrong, because of course I don't watch any local news from your different states, I don't know that some of those senators have been really out front and center, particularly in those states where they're opening up much, much to the detriment of people. Exactly. I don't know that I've heard of them being out front and saying, oh yeah, I totally support the governor and he's absolutely right. I haven't heard that. Let me know if I'm wrong. But it feels like they are really, really starting to recognize, frankly, the imminent danger they are in and their, re-election prospects. And I mean, there are some senators who are safe, right? Because they're not up for re-election. I think I've got that right. But they're starting, even those ones are starting to recognize that, life is going to be really, really different. Not only because I'm going to be sitting in a minority position everywhere I look, but more importantly, the chickens are coming home to roost. And I'm going to have to do a lot of explaining, and I don't have answers for my people. I don't have answers for what has been done or what I didn't do or what I did do. And so they're starting to get really nervous. So you can see some of that agitation coming through. So you're going to see snappy answers. You're going to have a lot of no comment. I don't want to talk about that. That kind of behavior going on. Because it's not like they haven't been in the loop as they have been in their home, constituents. But it's different kind of getting information from a distance than being right in the middle of the crazy and really, really recognizing how bad it is. And so you're going to see some real agitation there. Yeah, they're like, you know what? We don't have the goods. We don't have the goods. And anything that we did that was self-serving, anything that we did for our own betterment, anything that we did trying to support Trump, trying to be a strong ally to Trump, is going to be to our detriment. It's just that's it, right? And as that happens, again, these senators are going to be in a position where more information is coming out about their own self-serving behavior. And unfortunately, that's going to put them in kind of a bad place. They believed the illusions. They didn't keep a balance. And there we have it. Okay, so buckle up, buckle up. There is a descent into madness. Like, honestly, he is descending into a place of such complete disassociation from reality, and that it's going to be really scary. Okay. He's just unhinged right now, and it's going to become more and more apparent, and it's going to become more and more extreme. This week is going to be bad, and I'm next week, the week after, and the week after that, like between now and really the end of May, you're going to see insanity, like insanity. He's going to be like the insane king. Hang in there. You're coming out the other end. And like I say, do not fall into thinking that he has more power or more magic up his sleeve. He doesn't. Get that clear in your heads. He doesn't. He is wounded. He is broken. He is dangerous. And ultimately, the good, rational people of the United States are going to ensure that he is not only a one-term president, but he is a disgraced president. And for those of you in states where madness is descending, please take care of yourself. I'm not seeing like rioting and, crazy in the streets, but I'm definitely seeing an uptake in tension. And so just be careful of that, all right? And even those of you who are in strong democratic states, understand there is that group of people who are not liking all of the restrictions. And as things open up around them, of course, more people are going to be saying, well, if they can have it, why can't we? So buckle up. Take good care. Until next time, be well. Bye-bye.